Ugh. Fabulous sleep. Let's slide into Zealand's DMs and ask him which attribute is the best, because I'm sure he has an immediate answer. Which attribute is the best? Send. I have a new DM. Which attribute is the best? I have no idea. Hello, welcome back to another video. Today we are answering a question that I get asked a lot, and I honestly have never had an answer for. Off the top, I would like to thank the guys that helped me make this video. That would be the FM editor and his team. You can find them all over the place, especially on Twitter, and they do fabulous work. It was Satan that I worked with, which sounds weird saying, but that's the dude's name. Very helpful, very talented. Well, it's I'm Satan Jr., but what word stands out to you in there? Anyways, thank you guys. This wouldn't be possible without you, because what we've done is created the ultimate attribute testing database. You're sitting there going, well, what's the ultimate attribute testing database? It doesn't make any sense. I have had them make up a league that is completely isolated. Every team represents an attribute, and every member of those teams has a 10 at everything and a 20 at one thing. It's really simple when you think about it, but it's kind of great. We got a really creative name too. It's called the Attributes League. So you see, we have 36 teams. Each one is whatever attribute FC, just for style purposes. And with now this fabulous database where everybody's the same size, the same weight, has the exact same attributes except for one, so we can really isolate which attribute is the best. I have simmed this league 5 times, put the league position of every team in every one of those simulations into a table, added them up, and come up with a conclusive list of which are the best attributes and which are the worst. And there's only one caveat for me personally. We'll get to that caveat in a second, but this caveat is to tell you, if you want to hang out with me live, I stream on Twitch a lot. Link down in the description. Back to the video. Well, I don't need to say that. You're already okay. Let's go. Now it's time. Wait, I'm thinking. I try and make sure I anticipate the issues people would have with the database. Injuries are impossible to make impossible, but what we did to combat that is obviously everybody on the team has the exact same attributes. So even if a player gets hurt, the player that's replacing them is the exact same player. So injuries as an argument is invalid. The hidden attributes are also all balanced at exactly the same. So that one is not a variable as well. As for the league format, we had everybody play everybody else one time, because I wanted to have everybody play everybody else 2 times, but you actually just couldn't do that in the database they were trying to make, because there would be like 70 games. So one time, everybody plays everybody else. Now it's time, ladies and gentlemen, the worst attribute after 5 attribute league simulations. Why are you starting with the worst one? Because that's the one that people want to know, man. Actually, we're starting with the 5th worst. Remember, I'd say the worst 5. The 5th worst attribute in the game is free kicks. Terrible performance. 142 total league position points, which is added up their league positions. They finished 35th twice, 33rd one other time. What saved free kicks from being even worse than 5th worst is that free kicks actually finished 19th on one occasion. Somebody was going off with the 20 free kicks. I was curious to see where free kicks would end up, because you think a dude with 20 free kicks is going to be able to make a lot of things happen. Turns out other attributes might be able to help you out more. The 4th worst attribute is long shots. People care way too much about long shots. Long shots finished last and 35th twice. It had an outlier performance where it finished 13th one time out of the 5 simulations, but by and large, long shots are terrible, just as the attribute itself. 4th worst attribute in the Attributes League, with 3 bottom 2 finishes and 143 total league points. I shouldn't say points, it's gonna get confusing. The third worst attribute, unsurprisingly, is natural fitness because it really doesn't affect anything that's actually in the game. Also, surprisingly, natural fitness never finished in the bottom 2. It just finished in the bottom 3 times. And it did finish as high as 16th in season 1, but that is all that natural fitness has to hang its hat on with 147 league position points. We're just saying points. The second worst attribute is aggression. I've had a lot of people tell me that aggression is actually an attribute that's underrated, that it's one of the ones that you're supposed to look at, especially on defensive players. It really doesn't seem to be that. 152 league position points, a high of 18th, and it finished in the bottom 6 4 out of the 5 times. In the bottom 6 4 out of the 5 times. You get it. You get it. Aggression was not consistently at the top of the injury table throughout the 5 simulations. So more aggressive players do not mean that they get injured more often. Fun fact, the worst attribute, this one kind of surprised me a little bit, is corners. Corners was the worst. 158 league position points. The highest corner taking finished in the attribute league was 27th. Natural fitness managed to get 16th one time, and corner was just stuck in the mud. Obviously, corner managed to finish last on only one occasion, but isn't that enough? He's now having a horrible realization that if he wants to read any of the other interesting tidbits that we've talked about earlier, I have to give you the top 10 now, which means we're giving you the top 10 now. Hey, Ringo, can you give me the drum roll, please? Oh, yes, Ringo. Oh, yes. Number 10 is decisions. Decisions finished as high as 6th and as low as 19th and ended up with a league position total of 62, which is actually significantly higher than the other 9 on this list, 13 higher than everybody else that made the top 10. But I always knew decisions were important. You always knew decisions were important. Decisions was almost always in the top half of the league and very regularly in the top third of the league. Number 9, explosion was stamina. Stamina was the 9th most important attribute in the simulation. While it did seem to be a little boom or bust, stamina finished in the top 3 twice, in the top 6 3 times. Problem is, the other 2, it finished 18th and 19th, so stamina wasn't the model of consistency, but its league position total was 49, which is rock solid. Next up, we had a tie for 7th. And that tie for 7th was between work rate and strength. And you were wondering, you go, okay, well, the stamina is there. Well, then the work rate's probably going to be pretty important too, since work rate is essentially, in my mind, the application of the stamina of a player. And work rate and strength were only 1 league position total higher in this ranking than stamina. Stamina had 49 when you added up all of its league positions. Strength and work rate had 48 when you added up all of their league positions. Work rate managed to win season 3, but what did work rate in was it also managed to finish 28th in season 2. It did finish in the top 3 times, so that 28th is looking like an outlier, while strength was never actually in the top 3, but obviously far more consistently in the top 13, finishing there 4 times, making strength perhaps a little more reliably an important attribute, more so than it probably was considered. You were thinking strength was mid-table. Number 6, and this one is all by itself, didn't tie with anybody. This is dribbling. So I've often thought that dribbling was actually a less important attribute than most people assumed. Obviously, the act of dribbling is important. I figured that athleticism and mental ability had a lot to do with how effective somebody was at dribbling, since the attribute description when you go to Football Manager says dribbling is how well you can keep the ball next to your foot while moving. I figured the things that affected how well you moved and how quickly you moved were also going to be important. Turns out dribbling by itself is important. It had a league position total at 47, finished as high as second and as low as 17th, managing 3 top 10 attribute league finishes. So more credit to dribbling. Now we enter the top 5. There is one caveat, and that's that if everybody's the same size, being good in the air is probably going to be more important because it can't be canceled out by somebody else being bigger or wider. And so heading is number 5. Heading won season 1 and finished 18th season 2, managed a top 10 finish every other season in a total league position that was a rock solid 42, 5 ahead of where dribbling was. Heading really separates the top 5 from everybody else and was a big surprise to me, but has something to do with the fact that everybody was the same size and there's really no way around that. But heading certainly isn't unimportant. We know that now. Number 4, acceleration is number 4. It finished as high as first. It won season 5, finished second in season 3, but also finished 19th in what was generally an outlier season, considering acceleration was top 4 3 times. Acceleration had a 34 in total league position, which is 8 higher than heading. So now you're starting to get into the really elite attributes that decide who's good and who's not. And acceleration is good. Very good. But it just lacked the consistency of our top 3. And that top 3 starts with acceleration's first cousin, pace. Pace managed to finish in the top 10 every single time. It also never won. Pace finished second in season 4, and that was the only time it was in the top 3, but it was in the top 10 every time, and that kind of consistency is rewarded with a league position total of 29. We already knew pace was important. This is not groundbreaking, but still, it's been confirmed, and it's more important than acceleration, apparently. Which brings us to number 2, which is the first cousin of heading. Jumping reach. Jumping reach won season 4, finished in the top 5 4 times, put together a league position total of 21, and finished second. This is the biggest part of the caveat because if everybody is the same size, but there's a whole team running around that has 20 jumping reach, while the other team is always going to be at 10 jumping reach because they have 20 in something else, then that's going to overvalue jumping reach because they're always going to have a huge jumping reach advantage. What this does teach us is that if you have someone with a huge jumping reach going against somebody that doesn't, they can be thoroughly dominant. Thoroughly. How dominant, you ask? Jumping reach won the league by more points than anyone else. In season 4, jumping reach put up 79 points in 35 games. It might have been part of an outlier, and obviously it was. They didn't win the league again, but they were top 5 4 times. Jumping reach was more capable than any attribute of dominating other attributes. Which brings us to number 1. I'll give you a second. You think you know what it is? You probably don't. I wouldn't have guessed it. I've given you a couple of seconds, so here we go. The number 1 attribute, rather conclusively, is passing.
Whoa, holy smoke, Sealan, that's unbelievable. Passing, no way, man. Outrageous.
What? This is insane. What's happened?
I'm just imitating what, the comments section or something. Passing finished second in season 1, first in season 2, fourth in season 3, fifth in season 4, and a measly 7th in season 5, with a 19 total league position, 2 higher than the unbelievable physical advantage of jumping not twice as high, but 20 to 10 in jumping reach than everybody you're competing against. Passing was the most important attribute. I did not see that coming. And here's what this does for me. You know those types of players that they only have passing and technique and vision? Well, those players do the most important part of the game well. The thing that apparently, more so than anything else, helps you win. I now like those players more. As for the attribute distribution of mental, technical, physical, which is something that I find fascinating, physical had 5 attributes make the top 10. And even if you remove jumping reach for the caveat we talked about, physical had 4 attributes in the top 10, which was still more than any other section. Technique, or the technical section, had 3. One of those was the heading. It also had dribbling, and it had passing, which was the most important attribute in the game, Zealand, so we remember that. The mental section only had 2, and one of them was 10th place decision. The other was 7th place work rate. This is why old dudes that are good in the mental section are just not good when you put them on the field. Mental by itself does not seem to be able to carry the way physical can and the way select attributes in the technical section can. We'll go through all the attributes at the end of this video, but as for the things that we were curious about, you had Jumping Reach win the league with 79 points in 35 games, and Corners produced the worst season with 15 points in 35 games. The biggest fluctuation in league position was Vision. In Season 1, Vision finished 5th, and in Season 4, Vision finished dead last. That's a difference of 31 league places in a league of 36. I don't know how that's possible. Incredible variation for Vision. Who knows what could have caused that, to be honest, but it happened. And that's it. We have our attribute test. Here are the final results. I have to get my readers on. First is passing. Second is jumping. Third is pace. Fourth is acceleration. Fifth is heading. 6 is dribbling. 7 is work rate. 8th is strength. 9th is stamina. 10th is decision. 11 is positioning. 12 is agility. 13 is bravery. 14 is anticipation. 15 is off the ball. 16 is first touch. 17 is tackling. 18 teamwork. 19 marking. 20 concentration. 21 leadership. 22 finishing. 23 vision. 24 crossing. 25 technique. 26 balance. 27 penalties. How are they that high? 28 composure. 29 flair. 30 determination. 31 long throws. And you know the rest. Have a fabulous day, and I'll see you on another video. 15 years ago, 2, 3 touches, and off it goes. Had a through ball there, just didn't play it. I mean, we're in a great position. We just need somebody to pick a pass out. Oh! Goal!